update on the Donald Trump assassination attempt. What a day this has been. I'll bet you've been on the roller coaster like me. You know, the moment we live in this internet world, and so I get that tweet immediately, and it's like, you know, Donald Trump's been shot. It's like, what? You know, right away, all the emotions go over, and it's kind of like a good dress rehearsal for living in this cycle. Now, I do remember, listen, we've been praying a lot for a year now. There's been prayer about assassination attempt. I mean, you could see it, right? It's kind of obvious. If you try to bankrupt the guy and he survives, you try to impeach him and he survives, you try to lock him up and the Supreme Court says he can't, and then you try to, what's left? I mean, indict, lock up, assassinate. That's, Tucker Carlson even said it. What do they have left as an option? So we're going to continue to pray for him. It's a lot of weird questions going on here. I mean, not the least of which is we're in Butler, Pennsylvania, right? So I'm from Pennsylvania. It's a city of 12,000. If you look at the setup there, there's like only one roof, 250 yards away, facing where he is, and nobody was on the roof. I mean, they have Secret Service agents like set behind Trump, but there's nobody on the roof around him. There's going to be a lot of questions going to be asked about that. But that's not your concern. I mean, of course, people in the natural want to go there. They want to say, was this a setup? Well, when that roof isn't secure, it makes you wonder who the heck was, not checking the roof. And you have people in the crowd going, look, shooter, shooter, shooter. And it's like, well, police, what are you talking about? Well, and not that the police were in on it. It's just that they were at an angle where they couldn't see. But you would think, I mean, what do you have to do? You got to go rush a policeman, create an incident in order to kind of, create a, hey, what's going on over there? And, get yourself arrested to say there's a shooter on the roof. It makes you wonder, how far would you go if you could see something like that to try to alert? Anyway, 7 shots. Now there's stories you're going to find out tomorrow. There might be more than one shooter. Now, if there were 7 shots from a AR-15 rifle, from a sniper position, lying prone like this at a target, 8 shots. If there were 2 shooters, which is, we're not sure yet, there wasn't 2. That might explain a little bit why there was 2 wounded, 1 killed. Now, it looks like one person was being apprehended in the crowd and dragged off by the police. So, is there a second gunman? Was there more than one shooter? These have to come out. Why wasn't that roof being covered 150, 200 yards away? Why was it facing, it looked to me like an aerial shot. I got a picture of it. It's the closest building to the stadium. It's kind of weird to the stage. So that'll all be, eviscerated by within 24 hours. You're going to hear all the stories on that. But what's amazing to me is 8 shots, different angles. And Trump moved in such a way, moved from his right to his left, back again. His head moved in such a fraction of a motion that his ear had a bullet. Think about it. Not an ear, not a bullet that went through his ear like this, or like that, or like that. But a bullet goes like that. Which means the bullet literally came within a hair's breadth of killing him. That's how you know you're praying and the Holy Ghost makes sense. You're praying for this guy. And it's weird how it stirs up the strangest responses. I mean, it really unmasks you. If you're on the left, if you look at the Twitter field, you look at you almost have to put on a hazmat suit and go into the subterranean world of I do it every now and then lately. I shouldn't. It's not good for my mental health. But I engage these people, and they're all whack on the left. I mean, I run into some right extremists, but usually they're conspiracy-oriented, or they kind of got a little rednecky. But they're nothing like the trash and crazy demonic stuff on the left. They're literally deranged. I mean, they're dangerously deranged. And but what we have now is a moment when you see the heightened exposure of the left, which is what I've said all along. What's going to be happening this year is the fruit and the root of what's happening in America is going to get exposed. So that means the corruption, they put Trump under a microscope. I mean, my God, everything about the guy right down to his genitals has had, New York Times reviews on it. Now it's, that wheel of justice is turning around, and now it's moving on the left. And all kinds of stuff is going to continue to come out. It's like there's now a law of divine reciprocity. All right, you tried this, now how about you? How do you measure up? Now the spotlight's going over there, and it's going to expose something, which is very important. And that is that the media has been ginning up this, New Republic magazine has been ginning up this Trump is Hitler thing. They had some whack job opinion journalist who still is on the payroll talking about how Trump is a modern day Caesar needing to be assassinated. They've been feeding the narrative to their wacky base that Trump is Hitler. And so it was just inevitable that somebody was going to attempt to do this. And it's going to be very interesting how long it takes to find out who the shooter was. My theory on this is if it's good news for the left, it comes out fast. If it's bad news, it gets drip fed. I don't know how it's possible with all the media out there that you don't ever read the manifesto from the trans shooter in Nashville. But I promise you, if there was a Facebook post by some right-wing extremists, it would be in broad daylight within 24 hours. So it's just the nature of the beast. But what this does is it puts a real crimp on the left, providing, and we got to pray for this, providing that there is no reactionary or even false flag reactionary. Like I'm right away thinking, and it's terrible you have to think this way. You have to think, well, a normal human being would look at this and say, we've got to stop this incendiary Hitler-esque rhetoric. Now, even Bill Maher is saying, stop calling the guy Hitler. He's not a Hitler. You may be narcissistic and offensive and egotistical, but it's not Hitler because he picks up on it. But he's a rational left-wing deranged person. On Trump, he's deranged. And most other stuff, he's normal. The rest of these guys, I'm talking about the Rob Reiner world, it doesn't matter what happens. They're like, they're like bobbleheads. They won't process it in the same way that an average person will. The average person is going to look at this and say, veto on this heightened rhetoric of Trump is Hitler and we got to put a bullseye on him like Biden said like a week ago. No, we got to stop that language. The problem is the left is the one who's prone to violence. Remember, I was in Washington, D.C. with Dutch Sheets the day that the Bernie Sanders crazy shooter went out to the softball game and tried to kill all the Republicans. You never heard it was a Bernie Sanders guy, did you? No, I have to remind you. Because the left wing is prone to these harebrained, go shoot him up. I know I'm going to get a bunch of people going, what about this? You can go search it, man. You probably got some people there that are on the right wing. But the reality of the matter is that our thinking is that we are praying and working against violence, binding it. But I'll tell you right now, it's going to be very hard for the left to do their playbook, which is, sorry to say, but you remember their summer of riots. It's like, what were they going to do between now and November in order to gin up the base or look for some kind of George Floyd incident? We got to get something cooking here, boys. And they need something. And this is exactly what they didn't need, really didn't need, because Trump survived. That makes Trump not only surviving them trying to lock him up for our base, but for the neutral people in the country. What crime did he do again? Did he kill someone? Did he extort money? No, he filed that paper in such a way that the check didn't show up. Well, what did he do? Well, something with Stormy Daniels. What? As a check? Yeah, but I mean, the point is, it was filed wrong. That should lock that guy up. Average American goes, I don't know about that. So, no, doesn't work that way, does it? So this is going to be hard because now the left is going to have their convention. I said the left, Democrats. And they don't have control of their particularly wacky extremism. And so they're going to have the environmentalists freak out. They're going to have some... Antifa gets funded doing this. I mean, they're wired for this. I mean, God help them if if we find out the shooter was tied to Antifa. I mean, it's just going to be really bad PR for them. Now, the danger is we got to pray. No retaliation, because what they hope for is some kind of right-wing, I mean, even if it's, I'm sorry to say, a false flag thing where there was a pipe bomb found under Kamala Harris's, outside of her office. Remember the pipe bomb? The pipe bomb that no one wants to talk about, that even the FBI didn't believe was a real problem, and they even put a tape around it to keep people away from it because it was a fake pipe bomb planted on January 6th. Not like there was anything suspicious about January 6th, was there? So I'm so relieved that Donald Trump was delivered, but I'm almost like getting past the trauma now and saying with a certain measure of not just relief, but like, wow, that was a miraculous escape. And it was divine intervention. I mean, have you ever been close to death and you survive? It has a tendency to make you focus on God and be grateful to God. And there was a whole lot of talk about what was going on with the Republican platform. I mean, that was going to be the big brouhaha this week. And I try to keep away from sensationalizing stuff like this, jumping on the media. I like Benny Johnson. These guys are like animals. They're media animals. It's like, boom, he's got 200,000 people on Twitter X today talking about the assassination. Nothing to say yet, but he's saying something. And these guys are gifted that way. But, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm getting older or what, but I don't jump on every time there's a news cycle. I got my friends of mine going, I got to say something on Facebook. You got to go on. I'm going to go live. Like, I used to go live, but I don't do that anymore. But I feel like I need to go live when there's something to say that no one else is really saying. So let me say this. Got my little notes here to make sure I say it. That I really do believe that we need to be praying for the cessation of retaliatory acts by any fanatics on the right. We have to pray against false flag incidents. That right now what we're watching is a pattern. The pattern is the Supreme Court overturned the Trump, in a sense, they had a decision that favored Trump and that the president can't be held accountable for all acts that he did while he was in office or connected to the presidency, which one can argue could be filing the check for Stormy in the wrong category. Well, it's connected to his presidential run. So stop persecuting guys who are in office or what they do to get in office if it's not persecutable like the way they're going after him. Point is, Supreme Court makes a decision. Boom. That kind of like, remember, we were all prepared for, on the 11th, what day is today? We were prepared for the judge to come out with a verdict on Trump. That would have been double jeopardy for them. Same day that Trump gets the verdict, they should be locked up. Actually, if he was locked up, he wouldn't have been there at the assassination attempt. So, the reality is they were going to try to lock him up, but the Supreme Court interfered with that. Boom, got a problem. Then the debate. And then, boom, suddenly Biden is exposed as being what we've been saying for 4 years. Is suddenly Brian Stetler and these other guys going, well, we were deceived. How could you be deceived? You were with the guy. Anyway, be that as it may, so you had the Supreme Court decision favorable to Trump. Then you had the debate favorable to Trump. And now you have this like desperation attempt. Killing by a whisper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Amazing. Thank you, Jesus. I didn't know what had happened. I just heard Trump was shot and I got up. I didn't even go to look at the news. I went into my prayer closet and I prayed. I got this cardboard cutout of Trump. Someone sent it to me. I still have it in there. So I as long as it's there, I pray for him. So I always lay hands right here on his head. And I prayed again for the side, both of his ears be covered. Now, there's been this controversy about what's coming up with the platform because a bunch of Republicans are getting a hold of Trump. This is like I don't know what it is. It's like weird. It's like the vampires. The consulting class. The closer you get the election, the more the vampires come out and start talking to these guys. And Trump in 2016 was fortunate because he had a problem. And remember, he was having a problem with the gold star, dad who was Muslim, who didn't like his comment about Muslims, and so they were really working him to come against Trump. Well, Trump got a hold of Steve Bannon. Trump got a hold of, what's her name? Kellyanne Conway. And as a result, she taught them about how to talk to the women so that you're going to win the women vote. And Bannon kept them focused on immigration. Don't back up on it. Keep going for it. And then the Access Hollywood, Samson and his Philistine babes. It was another women incident. It was Vanity. It was the Access Hollywood video thing. That came out. And Bannon just said, hold the line. Don't step down. Don't freak out. Mike Pence is freaking out. Oh, my God, this is all over. Reince Priebus, you're going to have to resign. It's like right before the election. Bannon said, hold the line. And then, Steve's like brass knuckles, which is why they had to put him in prison now, for the next 3 months to keep his voice off the air. What a weird, clear warfare we're in. Anyway, Bannon goes, don't worry about it. Stay focused. And he goes and he gets like 5 women that Clinton had been, or 4 women that were willing to come out and sit in the front row. And, and they're sitting there glowering at Hillary and Bill. And it was Bannon basically telling her, you bring up Access Hollywood and Trump will bring up who's on the front row. She didn't go there. That's brass knuckles, people. I'm sorry. If that had been a nice Christian guy, we never would have done that. Steve Areno, bring him out, like Megyn Kelly says. We need Bannon. That's why they locked him up. Anyway, right about now they got the nattering class of talkers. They're going to Trump. Listen, you got to back up from those Christians. They're killing you on the abortion issue. We're losing all over the place. And Trump's so frustrated because the Christians didn't have a ground game. We do this. Pray, 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 pray. And then Roe v. Wade, we spiked the football. We didn't win anything. All we did was we moved the game to 50 states. Then in Ohio, you got pro-life groups fighting with each other. Next thing you know, they're shooting each other. The Democrats come marching out in the field. Spike the football. Constitutional amendment. We're going to use your abortion issue. Now they're using it to get out the vote. They're using it in Arizona. They're using it in Colorado. They're using it in Florida. They're using it in Pennsylvania. Trump's coming after your body. Trump's the dictator coming after your body. So they're using that, and Trump knows it. So all of the Christians out there going, he's waffling on abortion. It's because we suck at political stuff. Let's just admit it. So we win. We pray, pray, pray. We're always good on the prayer thing. The moment the walls of Jericho come down, we're like, we don't know what to do. Let's admit it. Let's have a conversation. We're bad at that. And, these organizations that raise all the money. Listen I tell you how this stuff works. I'll tell a little story here, but these are friends of mine. But organizations that are nonprofits that are in the political culture war, they raise a lot of money off of issues, right? But they're not organizing on the grassroots level. I mean, look at Charlie Kirk having to get up and go do the ballot work. Our own people are having to go into the field and get out there and do election integrity and get the votes out and the ballots. Trump watched them use this abortion issue against us and against him because we're good at kind of getting that thing done, but then we're lousy on the ground game. So it's time we wake up. Wake up. Now, so Trump's saying, I'm for life, man. But, you guys that want to have it like, a Supreme Court verdict. No abortion. Well, yeah, and it's just like slavery required, decision by the court and an Emancipation Proclamation. And yeah, but half the country was in a fighting mode about slavery. You don't have that level of, we haven't done the job of persuasion yet. And boy, the argument's on our side. Take a look at that little baby, little heartbeat, bing, bing, bing. We can prove it. And we're just not doing the job of persuasion. I'm not arguing. Don't get all crazy on me out there in my audience about, Lance, don't you stand for life? Yes, I stand for life. And that's the reason why I'm saying quit beating up on Trump. Because he's standing for life, but he's not standing for life the way the radical moralists want it done, who don't do the job of persuading the nation and then expect him to go fix it, or they're going to boycott. So what was happening going into the convention up until today was everybody was getting all feisty and, well, God isn't in the platform. He was in 18 times last time. He's only in 3 times now. And the Republican Party platform is kind of like, it's like a list of propositions to mobilize the undecided as to which way they're going to go. And Trump, he might be arguably listening to these dummies that are mutating and muting. Don't go off on the evangelical thing here. And you don't have to fight all the gays that are out there right now. Let's, God's sake, let's not go with a 2-week abortion, after 2 weeks or 4 weeks or something. So Trump is going, oh, my evangelicals, they're great people. They really love me. I really love them. But boy, they are clueless when it comes to this stuff. So I'm telling you, that's what he thinks. Loves us, believes in us, but he knows that we're not the sharpest knife in the drawer when it comes to politics. And we tend to be fickle. Fickle. And that's why this week there was a danger that a bunch were going to go, well, if he's going to back up on God, I'm going to back up on him. I'm not going to vote. Well, you know what? Last time we did that. Let me tell you the rednecks talk. So I'll hear them. Romney and Obama. I heard this. Well, it's kind of tough when you got a choice between the Muslim and the Mormon. And that's basically, if you know what I'm talking about, you know I'm telling you the truth. The Muslim and the Mormon. Well, that's not exactly a sophisticated decision, because you put Barack Hussein in office by not supporting the guy that was the Mormon. But that guy wouldn't have been championing a Supreme Court that would have done same-sex marriage and passed it. How much mischief has come through that since then, in the country since then? So we got to be sharper and smarter. We don't break ranks with Trump now, not now. And certainly not now that they're trying to kill him. So the stories change as we go into D.C. And what was the news cycle in my world? Maybe not you knew it yet, but I was about to go there. Tony Perkins and Dave Barton, all my friends, going to come up there about departing from godly principles. And I guess we ought to be making sure the Republican Party respects our vote, because we are like 35 or 40 flipping% of the vote. That's why I love Trump. He's the only guy that respected us enough to put us in the room. And like Steve Bannon taught me, you're not in the room, you're not in the deal. If you're not in the room, you're not in the deal. Most Christians just like to show up in the president's office to get a photo, get a picture with him. That's it. Then post it and talk about, look what I'm doing. But real power is being at the table. Now, I do think we're going to have to organize ourselves and not do what we typically do after an election. Let's say Trump gets in. Well, praise God, he got in. Then go back to doing your thing. No, we got to go do what we've never done. We have to mobilize much more power. This is like a window of grace. My friend Mario Murillo puts it this way, and I think it's a quotable quote. Trump is not the savior in America. Trump is not the deliverer of America. Trump is a God-designed delay mechanism regarding the deterioration and then judgment on America. We got a little time, a window. How will we use it? How will we use it? Everyone's going to compete for donor dollars and messaging and build their organization. I say forget that. What we got to do is look at the states and mobilize. See, the left mobilizes. They mobilize the teachers, become a teachers union. They mobilize all over the place. Mobilize the moms against the abortion issue. And mobilize, the LGBTQ. It's only 3% of the population, but by God, they've got a voice. You'd think it was 50% of the people. So I'm saying, and mobilizing is part of the Great Awakening. In a strange way, it's a deliverable constituency that God is raising up that will have more skill in the matter of public persuasion. We're coming out of the box, whether they like it or not. And we're not going to be flipping. We're going to be staying strong. It's a birthday card. Oh, you're a flipping awesome dad. Happy birthday for my kids. All right, so you got what I'm saying here? All right, now listen. God delivered us today, kept his hand on Donald Trump. Supernatural. 8 bullets whizzing through the air, different angles, just clipped his hair, cut his ear. One great prophet friend of mine said, Trump's been listening to different voices, but by divine providence, he moved his head in such a way that his ear was tilted. He knew that God is now going to take hold of him and move his ear to the left or to the right, to the left or to the right, to give him the wisdom to stay a step ahead of death and to govern with shrewdness in America. Remember, Lincoln, if you really study history honestly, he wasn't about freeing the slaves. He was about saving the Union. And gradually and progressively, he developed more of a political realization that the issue has always been slavery. And if it's coming down to this, that may be the fulcrum of where we got to go. Maybe even God himself is dealing with America on the basis of the history of its sin. What a powerful second inauguration sermon that was. Oh boy, you talk about a Christian nationalist. Woo, I won't even go there. But Lincoln's point is this, that in order for him to do what he had to do, he had to match it to a tempering of public sentiment. Public sentiment had to reach a certain threshold of shared conviction. This is why William Wilberforce, that great reformer from the UK, who in his 70 years of combat mobilizing believers who were influencing Parliament, he said that we are engaged in a prolonged battle, a sustained pattern of public persuasion. And that's where we haven't been good at abortion. We certainly haven't been good with the homosexual lobby and their message. And perhaps we have to find certain things that, we're going to have a proposition on, like Ben Shapiro having to deal with a nut job out there in California. What's his name? Swalwell. If you saw that last week, he's being up there. How does this happen? Well, you got influencers and podcasts have to answer before Swalwell on his beliefs about homosexuality, about comments he's made on the air. It's kind of like weird how this gets done. But anyway, so he's basically challenging him. And Shapiro is a very smart Jewish boy. He says, are you debating with me about my beliefs as an Orthodox Jew? Is that what you're doing? Or what are you asking me? Yeah, well, I'm asking about your views on homosexuality. Yeah, well, you're asking about my religious beliefs then. So very carefully, Shapiro contextualizes, Mr. Politician, you have a problem with my religious belief? That's how you have to treat. We have to be shrewder than we've been and more persuasive than we've been. And I think by the Spirit of God, God's creating a temperament of the times. And this assassination attempt, plus the locking up attempt, I think it's beginning to play out in middle America, in independent America, in neutral America, in persuadable America that, hey man, what are they doing with Trump anyway? And it's going to make it very hard for Antifa to fundraise. Hard for BLM to start burning down police precincts and doing rioting. Going to be hard for the left-wing radicals to get away with their shtick between now and November. Or even, as Molly Bell wrote in Time magazine, we had 200 organizations on speed dial, ready to riot and raise a ruckus all over America. Ooh, she giggled away on Time magazine telling everybody, we knew Trump had to be, so we said, stop, I think we got him beat. We don't need the artificial riots all over America protesting Trump because, please, and she's giggling away and sipping the champagne and blabbing what she never should have said. 200 organizations the Democrats had on speed dial? Why is anybody talking about that? And they're ready to riot, but they were told, don't, giggle, giggle, it's not necessary. Well, guess what? Butterbutt. I just felt like saying that for the sake of offending somebody. It's going to be hard for you to do that when Trump gets elected. Because we got your game. We know exactly what you said. We'll remind you of what you said. Oh, I may be just a lone little podcaster out here, a little podcast land. But as a recent article pointed out, we do have over 1 million followers on our various social media platforms. 1 million alone on this noble platform called Facebook, which means you got to like and share. Would you please like and subscribe? Like, subscribe. I've been parked at no growth ever since they discovered I had 1 million followers. So please, move me up to 1,000,001. Be the 1,000,001 follower, please. I'll send you an autographed copy of Gene Bailey's book. I have it here. All right, final thought. We're going to the swing states. And boy, did I appropriately rename this thing as a Courage Tour. Mario Murillo and I are going to be going to Wisconsin. I'm also going to flip back over into Michigan as soon as I can find a church that is courageous enough to have the Courage Tour show up for a day. We're going to go looking towards Lansing, towards, that part of western Michigan. We're going to be in eastern Wisconsin at Eau Claire. But I want you to go to thecouragetour.com, thecouragetour.com. Sign up. Sign your name, because we're going to be in, Pennsylvania. My God. Let's get the police department on their toes in Butler. Might be near there again. All right, so we're going to be in Pennsylvania. We're going to be in Michigan. We're going to be in Wisconsin. But in 2 weeks, Wisconsin. I think it's 2 weeks. Right after the Madison, Wisconsin, or right after Trump's rally in Wisconsin. We're going to be in Wisconsin. And I got some other really cool locations coming up. You're going to love them. So go to thecouragetour.com so you can be reasonably informed of where we are. And you can watch these stellar frontline, Great Awakening type meetings. I have a chat thread with a bunch of Never Trump preachers. And it's hilarious. Every now and then I act like they're for me. And I say, hey, do you got any activists or any churches or any pastors or any intercessors or any people that are like real patriots that I could kind of enlist and get to work with in Michigan or Wisconsin? Crickets. Nobody says, shut up, Lance. They just don't say anything. It's hilarious. Every now and then I remind them what I do and they say nothing. And it's just, but I'm telling you, go to thecouragetour.com because we got the country's greatest people. I think I might have General Flynn out in one of these things. Might be talking to like Eric Trump. Might be, well, we got some different people. That Jim Caviezel. I always like Jim. He's a great guy. Jim might be joining us. But I don't want the names. I don't want the names to draw. I want the spirit to draw. That's why it's called the Courage Tour and not the Speakers Bureau. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this thing up here. Would you please like and share this with your friends? I look forward to seeing you shortly at the RNC. I'm going to be at the RNC. I'm going to be right there broadcasting, covering from the front lines what's going on with Presidente Trump. And we're going to have a wild, historic ride between now and September. Strap yourself in. This isn't the last kerfuffle we're going to have. It's going to be, I promise you, it's not going to all calm down from here on out. It's a ride in the rumble seat. But you'll have a front row seat. Once again, share this with your friends. Make a comment. I read your comments